Udhiya, Qurbani, and obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Ibrahim alayhi salam and his sacrifice, and then the love and faith that he had in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the ayah that I wanted to talk about especially فَأَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ فَانظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى قَالَ يَا أَبَتِ افْعَلْ مَا تُؤْمَرُ ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. And when he reached with him the age of exertion, so what he's talking about when he reached an older age, um, when he could walk and work with him, uh, he said, "O my son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So see what you think." And this is Ibrahim alayhi salam talking to his son, Ismail alayhi salam. And the response of it is very surprising because Ismail alayhi salam he said, "O my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me if Allah wills of the steadfast." So there are multiple aspects in this, which is described in Quran that Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam did not have a son for a very, very long time. So imagine somebody having a child, after you have been trying and after you did not have children for a very long time, they would love them a lot. And they would have the appreciation for the kids more than anyone else. So imagine that point when he's seeing the dream and Ibrahim alayhi salam understanding that, whatever dream I'm getting, like the prophets do not just get dreams randomly. Those are a format of revelation, which is, described by Mufti Mink and other shuyukhs as well. So when he saw that dream, he understood that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the same format, Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam is also the Prophet of Allah. So knowing Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam that, as soon as he heard the commandment of Allah, that this should be done. This is what has been commanded. He did not ask why this was commanded. He did not ask why this is going to happen or what exactly is going to happen and how all of that should be. And in that instance, he just described that, just do as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded. And that inshallah min as-sabirin, that you will find me if Allah wills of the steadfast. And that is what is important, that understanding the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every child loved their parent a lot, and similarly every parent loved their children a lot as well. And the bond between a child and their parents is unbreakable. And just imagining, okay, this is the message that I'm getting and I have to sacrifice my son. But in that instance, just having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this message that Allah has given it to me, it's not just any random message. It's not just anything, out of the blue, okay, this is what has happened. And then in another part, it was described that just as Ibrahim was about to perform the sacrifice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervened and saying, "Oh Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the vision and now you will be rewarded." So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing that, this is not going to, this is not going to happen as is, that Allah sent a ram to Ibrahim alayhi salam to be sacrificed instead of Ismail alayhi salam. And that was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan all along. Because Inna Allah Sami'un Basir, Allah knows everything, Allah hears everything. He knows what exactly is going on. He knows what Ibrahim alayhi salam was praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that moment. And the sacrifice and the patience of Ismail alayhi salam. So when we look at all of these perspectives, that the ultimate love should be towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ultimate dependence should be towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because whatever He's commanding, He can do anything. So when we're asking, like especially in the month of Dhul Hajjah, the first 10 days of Dhul Hajjah, when we're looking at all of that, we should be making more du'as. We should be making more, charity, more donation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded in the Quran. The more we do, the closer we get to Allah. And it's going to soften our hearts. So, there is one hadith that talks about, Sahih al-Bukhari, that talks about protect yourself from hellfire, even by giving a piece of date as charity. And how this connects in terms of this. When you're sacrificing an animal, there are 3 portions in that. And in that specific 3 portion, 1 portion is for the needy. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the person who's sacrificing an animal to feed the people who are in need of, who are in need of the meat. They might not be getting it throughout the year. That is the only time that they're getting the meat. And so is the case in a lot of refugees, a lot of people who are living in different cities. in a lot of downtown areas. There are people under the bridge. There are people living on the street who do not even get a piece of meat throughout the year. They're barely surviving. They're barely trying to figure out, how we're gonna get our food, how we're gonna get our next meal. So just, celebrating it with them, the meat that you have sacrificed. So even in the sacrifice, that there is love and the story of faith. The three parts of the Qurbani Udhiya that's done. One is for your family. So you cherish and enjoy that meat that you have sacrificed. The other is with the family. That builds the connection between, ourselves and the community. So you're gonna invite some of the friends, you're gonna invite some of the like further relatives. And when you invite them, it kind of builds a stronger bond with them. It kind of gets you more, involved with the community. And then the third part that I already mentioned, that when you give it to charity, because the people who already has this written in their, in their books, that this is the amount of food, this is the amount of like meat that they're going to get throughout their lifetimes, they will still get it regardless. But we are the means. Whoever is sacrificing, they are the specific means in terms of that to provide that. And we have to keep that in mind when we're sacrificing, that it is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when we're sacrificing an animal, we say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, that Allah is greatest. We talk about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam kind of comprises of. They understood the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah is the only one who can help. And there is a purpose of all of this. So it's not just, another random thing that happened that, okay, and another and random instance that happened. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing and all understanding. That's what it's about. That, this aspect of giving to the people, that is very important. And that is what we have to kind of look forward to. That, what we are doing for other people, that's what's going to matter in our graves. And that is exactly what we are going to see when we're, that is what we're going to get in the hereafter. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless us by multiple folds. It could be 7, 70, 700, or even multiple times, wallahu alam. Because Allah is Rahman Rahim. His ability of being Rahman Rahim is the most important in that aspect. And when we are making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I'm sacrificing this animal in your name, that Allah give me the ajr for that. Allah give my family the ajr. And Allah helps us and gives us the ability to help those people in need. So we have to keep all of those things in mind. And there's one ayah that talks about, that the more you know Allah, the more you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just looking at this fact, when we are distributing meat, Allah is thinking of the people who do not have enough. And Allah is thinking of the people who are giving it as well in that format, because they will get, they will get the ajr, they will get the good deeds, they will get the blessings through this sacrifice. And for them, that will be the format of, getting the maghfirah that we always ask for. Because we have to show one step towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we take one step towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will take multiple steps towards us. If we take multiple steps, Allah will walk towards us. And if we walk towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will run towards us. And in the same format, if we run towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will fly towards us. So this kind of describes that Allah wants to take the step, but He needs to see our effort. He needs to see what's in our heart and the action that we are taking. Because it starts with the niyyah. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. It starts with the niyyah. But essentially, it comes down to the action that we are going to take, that we have taken, and what's in our hearts when we are taking that action. And why we are doing it. Is it because of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And that is what's important in all of these aspects. That keeping the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and keeping that communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this is what I'm going through in my life. This is my difficulty. I'm sacrificing for your sake, for your commandment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give me the ajr, or give me the peace, or help me throughout the process that I'm going through. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun.